Hey everybody, Jason with Jacob's Travels, and I'm going to be covering a lot of Halloween Horror Nights tips and tricks for Orlando because that's where we've gone. If you really love haunted houses, jump scares, and just that awesome Halloween feeling, Halloween Horror Nights is like the coolest place that you can go outside of like local jump scares and stuff like that you probably have around you because Universal Orlando goes all out, changing the entirety of the Universal Studios into a jump scare fest for you and your family. There's scare zones, haunted houses, and enough screams to keep your heart rate up all night. It's just a lot of fun, dude. A lot of fun. But there's a lot of stuff that you should probably know if you're going to go do this. This is why I put together some quick tips and tricks to help you survive the night, survive, and to make the most out of your tickets. So here's kind of the game plan. So, if you're going to be in the parks all day, going from Universal Orlando straight all the way into Halloween Horror Nights, or actually just around Florida in general, you should probably have sunscreen and sunglasses. Sunglasses are still helpful, even if you're just going to Halloween Horror Nights, because a lot of the at least in the early portions in September and partially into October, there's still daylight out if you do any of the early activities that you can do. And going from outside in the bright Florida sun to inside one of the houses is massively disorienting. It's just you can't see anything. It's really horrible. And then obviously sunscreen if you're out all day because Florida has cool, awesome beaches, lots of sun, but that sun will beat down on you, drain you of energy, and make you a big red mess. So, both of those things are definitely a need if you're going to go to the parks in general, but cool for Halloween Horror Nights. Make sure to eat a solid meal and be well hydrated. I'm saying this because before you go in, there's going to be a lot of running around houses, all that fun stuff, and you're going to forget to drink and eat, especially if you're one of those people that's like, I have to get all the houses done. You're going to forget to do those things. So make sure that you've at least had a meal and stayed hydrated all day as you're going out throughout the parks. Also, there are these cups that you can use. I don't know if they call them survivor cups or whatever, but they are refillable. You can buy those at Halloween Horror Nights, and then you can just use the refill stations that are all over the place. So if you haven't hydrated well, make sure you get one of those reusable cups. They're not super expensive, especially when you think about how much you can get for those drinks. Also, make sure that you have a pair of comfortable shoes. I will tell you, there is a lot of walking and a lot of standing and waiting in lines. If you're wearing a pair of flip flops, I guess Crocs, some people think are comfortable. To me, if it doesn't have some good padding, you will be feeling it at the end of the night. I think we walked like almost 30,000 steps that day and was just beat up at the end of the night. My shoes were a little bit older, so make sure you get something that fits, that's well cushioned, and also make sure they're not brand new shoes. Have them broke in a little bit before you go so you don't get all those fancy blisters. Also, do not be afraid to grab a nap. Okay, naps. I know we didn't like taking them as kids, but as adults, remember, naps can be your buddy if you're staying up till 2 in the freaking morning. I know most people are like, there's that whole meme of it's like 10 o'clock, I'm out as an adult. Please, you're going to stay up super late. Go grab a nap. It doesn't hurt. You get a couple hours of good sleep in the middle of the day. You get some air conditioning, and then you go to the parks and have all of the fun you want, staying out till 2, 3 in the morning in some cases. This should go without saying. If you are someone that does not like loud noises, you can bring earplugs. I've seen a lot of people with earplugs and those noise canceling headphones. Um, Also, we literally saw someone like in the fetal position in one of the houses, like freaking out. So if you're someone that is going to that is very easily scared and is just going to have a massive anxiety attack, maybe think about just staying outside of the houses. And I have another way to help you kind of get through a more mild event here that Halloween Horror Nights has come up with for those of us that are a little bit more intimidated by these houses and stuff. Kids are allowed. No one's going to tell you can't bring your kids. I suggest 13 years or older. I believe that Halloween Horror Nights suggests the same thing. I've seen a couple kids there. The scare actors don't always hold back when, especially in the houses. They don't care if you're a kid or not. They're jumping out and they're scaring you. Some of the other stuff, like maybe there's like the crooked cat lady of Crooked Lane and stuff. There's cat kids in there because those cats were turned it turned from kids into cats. By all means, they will play a little bit more, but they are scary looking and probably not the coolest place for your kids. But that's a you decision. We didn't start bringing our kids till 13, and now they have a blast. My daughter being the scariest one at still 14, but she still goes through all the houses and has a good time. All right, so there are a couple of changes in the way that they're doing Halloween Horror Nights this year. First, to go back to that whole massively scared, can't deal with all of the jump scares, but still want to be there. They now have a lanyard you can buy that's called the Deathly Afraid lanyard. Basically, you go into participating stores. I believe the Tribute store definitely has these, as well as some other merchandise areas. And it's a lanyard you wear around your neck that has a cool little medallion on it with like a ghosty thing, and basically it lets the scare actors know that are around the parks that you are afraid and you don't want to be scared. You want to just hang out, have a good time with your friends, and drink and eat your night away. But that does not work in the houses. So if you're going to get this and you're like, I want a mild event, maybe don't participate in the houses. But if you're going to Halloween Horror Nights, you should probably go in the houses because they're super cool. So give yourself some, like, get the lanyard. It's only $20. And it's a new thing that they're doing this year and trying out. So get the lanyard, be not scared outside, help hype yourself up. Hype yourself up real good, get into those houses and have a great time. And again, if it's going to be too much for you, maybe try and pre-watch the houses and see which ones are going to be scarier. We're going to do an entire video just of rating the houses and kind of what we think, trying not to give too many spoiler alerts on it, or spoilers on it. But again, a milder way to do this, Deathly Afraid lanyard, $20 in the stores. Doesn't work in houses. So do not expect it to work in the houses. With early entry, Stay and Scream or Scream Early lines, they're working differently this year. In the past, you would go into like giant holding areas and stuff, and they would hold everybody in that area until about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then you would poof go out to whatever thing. So we would always start in the back area where all the tents are, whatever is going to be the most popular house, or even just hitting up all the smaller ones so we can get through them. Boom, 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 boom. This year they're doing things a little bit differently. You can get in early or stay if you're already at the parks. You go to designated areas where they give you a cool little wristband. The wristband allows the staff to know these people are supposed to stay here because they start kicking people out at 5 o'clock. And with that, I believe you can start at like 2 or 3 p.m. with your Scream Early Pass if you didn't get park tickets for the entire day. And then you can actually go ride some of the cool rides, or do some shopping, or do some eating, or as we did, get in line early for some of the houses. Now, I don't necessarily like the way they're doing this, but and hopefully it changes. But as of today, September 5th, the way it happened on opening weekend is they had houses in certain areas that opened at different times. So we'll use Fallout for example. We went to Fallout; it opened at 5:15. About 4 o'clock, they opened the doors so you can get back to the area to get in line for Fallout. And then the house next to it opened at 5:45. Then there was another house in that back area that opened at 6 p.m. So these are all early being before 6:30 when they open general admissions. But the way that it worked is you could only go to each of those houses with the entirety of the group. Now, there are other houses in the parks that open at 5:15 and open at 5:45, and if you plan it out just right, you could probably walk from one to the other to the other to the other. But because those houses open up so early, the lines are being really weird. Like, for example, again, Fallout opened at 5:15. The one next to opened at 5:45. Everybody went through Fallout, and then everybody went to the next house over, which I believe was like the the Monsters of the North or whatever, which by the way, fantastic, fantastic house. But everybody went from one to the other, and that made that line super long, which was crazy. And then Dolls Let's Play Dead opened at 6, which made that line crazy because you went from one to the next to the next. If you planned it out and wanted to actually walk around, you could probably hit one of the 515 houses, then hit all the 515 houses, as long as they're not the big houses like Five Nights at Freddy's or Terrifier. Those are going to be ridiculously long, no matter what time you get into them. Okay. Some strategy and tips to get the most out of your time in Orlando for Halloween Horror Nights. First off, if you are already in the parks that day and you plan on going to Halloween Horror Nights that night, go ahead and take advantage of Stay and Scream for early access. What you have to do is go over, get some special wristbands, and then you're allowed to stay in the parks and start interacting with the events from Halloween Horror Nights. My understanding, they have a bunch of the booths open. You can do shopping, all of that. Knock that stuff out of the way. Maybe grab some fancy foods from some of the themed booths as they open up, because they'll start to open up around 4 p.m. You're already in the park, so go ahead, do that, get your ticket on a day that you're already at the parks. So that's Stay and Scream. If you don't have park tickets, because maybe you weren't going to spend all day at the park and you just wanted early access, there's this thing called Scream Early. It's $55 plus tax, which is slightly cheaper than an admission for the entire day. But again, you get to go in early, go get a wristband. You can ride all of the rides that are still open from like 3 to 5. At 5, they shut down and they start doing just Halloween Horror Night stuff. So you can actually ride regular rides like the Mummy. I would say Rip Ride Rocket, but it's not there. But and anything else, dude, you can ride anything else. So anything that's normally open at Universal, you can do during that time. Now there are some rides that stay open for Halloween Horror Nights. Check those, and if you are just going to stay there and do those anyways for Halloween Horror Nights, like I believe Gringotts is open, um, and there's a couple others. Check those out. Then you'll know which ones that you can hit, because there is stuff that closed down, like the Simpson rides closed down and everything. But you get early access to the parks and you don't get kicked out. Okay. Now, if you are short on time and you only have one night to try and see everything and you don't care about money, I would consider coupling the early access, right? Either Stay and Scream or Scream Early with an express pass. Now, this is going to be the most expensive way because express passes can get up to $200. So that's also does not include the Halloween Horror Nights regular ticket, nor does it include getting in early and stuff. But if money's not an option and you want to do all of that, express passes. And another level up, RIP tours. So you can do RIP tours where they basically guarantee that you will get every house because they run you to the front of every house once. So that is an even more expensive way, and I believe you get some fancy little themed light appetizers as well from some of the different booths. My understanding, I've not done an RIP tour, but from my understanding, they gather it all in like one area, and you get to try all of the stuff without having to go out to the booths. Again, just the themed booths in that. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Put it down in the comments if I'm wrong. If you are on a budget, I would compare the cost of 2 nights, right, without an express pass. This allows you to have the most amount of time because another night of Halloween Horror Nights is cheaper than buying an express pass. This way, you don't have to rush to all the houses. You have time to actually watch Nightmare Fuel, which apparently is a super cool show. I've never got to see it because every damn time I'm rushing around, because I just don't allot myself a lot of time, and I'd get everything done in 2 days, and I'll hit the same houses over and over, whatever. But I want to experience the food. I want to experience that. And if you are just on a massive budget, go 2 nights. I say again, go 2 nights instead of doing express pass. You'll get just as much done. Yeah, you'll have to stand in lines, but you're not rushed around, and you can enjoy that. You can enjoy things a little bit more. Again, but that's if you have 2 days. All right. So it doesn't matter when you go, like what day it is, Saturday, Sunday, weekdays. This applies to everything. At around 11 p.m., people start to get tired and go home. So you'll start to see the lines drop, not super dramatically, but the line times will start to drop. And some of the back houses, 10 houses, stuff like that will definitely start coming down into the half hour and lower range. Anywhere between 12 and 1, that comes down even more. And then between 1 and 2, a lot of stuff kind of becomes walk-ons. Again, the 10 houses, the not so popular houses, and some of the longer houses that literally last up to 3 hours, like Five Nights at Freddy's, is consistently a 180-minute wait. Not even kidding you. That's the real times. Terrifier also stays up at the 120 to 180 all through the weekends. At 1 a.m. to 2 a.m., those drop dramatically. And just to let you know, if you are in line before 2 a.m., they shut down the lines at 2 a.m., like entry to the lines. They don't shut down the line. They will keep going. So if we did the same thing to get our 10 houses in one night, we went through Five Nights at Freddy's. It said that it was going to be an 80-minute walkthrough. We got done in 20 to 30 minutes because again, the line times are all messed up at the end of the night, and they can't keep up with how fast the crowd is dropping. And we were able to make it over to Terrifier before the 2 a.m. mark. And we didn't get out of the parks until I think we got out at like 2:30-ish and got on the bus. So we did get to do all 10 houses. That's a whole another video if you want to go back and watch that. But so get in line right at the end and you're good. Again, drop times drop as the night goes on past 11 p.m. Also, if you want to avoid the crowds, I say go to the event early. Think September. Also, try and go on weekdays. So the park's not open for Halloween Horror Nights on Mondays and Tuesdays, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all open days, weekdays, right? Anything that doesn't have a holiday on Monday is probably so Sunday. This would apply to as long as there's not a big long day the next day, but the weekdays are your best bet for short lines. We've gone 3 years in a row now, and every time we go on the weekdays, we are amazed at how small the lines are. You have to think people have to work the next day. Mostly the people that are local would be going, and they're going to definitely clear out way early, right around 10 and 11, like I was saying, because they need to go home and get some sleep for work. So those will be your best times to go for low lines is going to be during the weekdays. As you get closer to October 31st, that all changes and all of that's thrown out the window because everybody's just trying to go. Also, make sure to reserve all of your stuff way in advance. There are opportunities for buying park tickets and stuff early on. Make sure to do those. But there's also sometimes events sell out. So if you do not use the opportunity to get tickets in advance, you may end up not being able to go. Opening weekend, the first 2 days, really rough. People weren't able to do that. The third day, I heard people talking in line that they had bought tickets that day, but the prices had gone up some because of capacity levels, and express passes were all $200 plus at that point. So buy early, plan and buy early. Make sure you get your tickets because it would suck to get down there and not be able to do anything. So, I'll be doing an entire separate video for how to get done all 10 houses done. We've done this 3 years in a row. Even with these new changes, we were able to get it done. And I want to go through like some of the tips and tricks that we thought would work best, and maybe a map layout of what you should probably do if you don't have Express Pass. If you have Express Pass, you'll get everything done. But for those of you that do not have Express Pass and you only maybe got an extra 55 bucks to get in early, I'll help you out. I'll do an entire video on that coming up. Thank you guys very much. Comment below on any other tips and tricks you might have, or some experiences you have, or any changes that happened during Halloween Horror Nights. Universal is very, very, very open to feedback, criticism, all that stuff, and they will change throughout the entirety of the event. So again, this is like the Thursday, Friday after opening weekend. So it's the second weekend essentially going in. And this is how things work as of right now. Again, Universal could change the way the holding patterns work and the way that the houses open up according to feedback. I know there was a lot of feedback from them about not liking the line times, opening times. So thank you guys very much. Please don't forget to sub and like and come back again because we're gonna have again strategies on how to do the 10 houses without Express Pass and also the video on us actually doing the 10 houses with no express pass. So, if you don't believe me, it got done. You can see the video yourself, and we were there until 2:30. It was rough. But either way, guys, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time on Jacob's Travels.